Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, our topic today is New User Friday, and I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Angela Andrieux. Hello, Angela.
Hey, Vanelli. Thanks for having me on today. Hope you're having a good week.
Oh, yes.
So, like you mentioned, we're doing New User Fridays. So, if you're a member of our Insiders community, or if you're very new trying out Luminar AI, check out insiders.skylum.com. We do a full-length beginner webinar there every single week, every Friday. So this is going to be just a small taste of what we do at that webinar and give you an idea of some of the things that we cover to get you up and running with Luminar AI.
Awesome.
So, yeah, should be fun.
So what do you have for us today?
Well, today I want to show a quick template workflow. So for people who are new to Luminar AI, the biggest thing we like to emphasize with this software is it's about the results, not the process. So we want to enable you and empower you to make quick edits and make your images look awesome. So I've got a photo that I'm going to show you how to edit. This is a travel photo from one of our executives, from Ivan Kutanen, I believe. And it's a really cool shot of New York City, but let me show you the original. So there's what it looked like straight out of the camera. It's a raw photo. And you can see it was a little bit hazy, a little bit dark. And with just a few steps, I brought it to this. Nice. So I'll show you how I did it. I'm going to right click on my image, go to adjustments, and revert this to the original. And there we go. And I'm going to start with a template. Templates are similar to presets, but have so much more power, so much more information in them. Our main templates panel has a great section at the top called For This Photo. And you can peruse through some recommended template packs that might well suit your image. For this image, though, I'm going to actually scroll down to some of the other template packs that are built in. You don't have to use the ones that are recommended. It's just a great starting point. But I like this category called Big City Lights. And this first one called Frosty gives me a really good starting point and very quickly improves the image, brought out a lot of details. So you can see it went from being very hazy to quite a lot more crisp. Now, I think it's still a little bit blue and a little bit dark. So let's fix that. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to scroll up to the very top to our Enhance AI, use our Accent AI to brighten this up, adds a little bit more contrast and detail. I think that looks really good. And I'm going to do a quick rotation in this because it is tilted a little bit to the right. So I'm going to go to Composition AI, which is our crop tool. And I'm going to use our automatic perspective correction to tilt this a little bit. And that got me pretty close. I might tilt this a little bit more by taking my mouse just outside of the boundaries of the pictures. You see I get the double-headed arrow. And I can go ahead and refine that and get that lined up exactly where I want it. And then maybe move that up a little bit in the frame. That looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and hit Return on my keyboard to go ahead and commit that and let that re-render. There we go. And like I mentioned, it is a little bit on the blue side. So I'm going to go to our landscape tools, which are actually really great for cityscapes as well, and use the golden hour slider to bring in a nice warm glow to this image. And I love what it does to the clouds as well. It brings in a little bit of that pink up there. And I think it really makes this image come together and look awesome. Now, I see a lot of really cool detail here in the buildings, especially this reflection right over here. So to bring that out a bit, I'm going to use our structure tool. You'll see before I clicked into structure, there's a little dot next to structure. That means that that tool was already being used. I'm going to just increase that amount a bit more and bring that up. And you'll see how that emphasizes that reflection as well as details throughout the image. Now, if we zoom in, you'll see that this image has a bit of grain or noise. It was probably taken at a slightly higher ISO because remember it was on the dark side and we brightened it up quite a lot. So I can go to our denoise tool, pull up that luminosity denoise to just take the edge off of that grain. And then to compensate for that detail that we might have softened with the noise reduction, I'll go to details and bring up our sharpening. All right, and I always recommend doing both sharpening and anything here with the details tools and the denoise tool at 100% zoom. So I'm going to zoom back out. We'll take a look at our finished image. There's the before and the after. What do you think, Vanelli?
That's awesome. And again, you made it look so simple, which I thought was really, really cool.
It is.
Yeah. And the neat thing about our template tools is it's all AI, to where it looks at your image analyzes it for you. So whether you're a new photographer, you're trying to get your feet wet with photo editing, or you're an experienced ones like ourselves, what it does for us is, for me personally, it gives me suggestions on something that I may not have tried, and I think that's really cool. For new people, what that does for you is just to say, look, these are all the tools you're going to be using in this particular template. So it knows enough that in that template, that image, in your case, it was a building, so it would know it. Then you took it one step further and selected your favorite. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I have one I want to show real quick. Let me share my screen. All right. So if you're new, like I said, templates is obviously just your one-stop shop. Go to templates. Let it help you select what template you should use. If you opt to go on your own, to try it out on your own, click on the Edit tab. This right here, Enhance AI, that is going to become your best friend. They should call this the Wonder Tool. Because watch this. Bip, look at that. You already thought it was a good image. I mean, that looks good. That looks much better. And that's with Accent AI, it automatically improves color, detail, tone, and depth of an image. Now, since there's a sky in the image, I could use Sky AI. Now, you don't want to go to an extreme, but you want to do it just enough, look at that, to bring out that sky. And again, here's before. This is what you're going to get out of your camera. And look what it did for us with that contrast, just making it look really good. Overall, that one tool helps replace the light tool, which we've all seen this before, which is a great way of processing your photos. If you understand processing, this is how you'd process a RAW file. For most, just jump right in here. If this doesn't do it for you, then I'd come over here to light. Smart contrast is very similar to the AI tools because, again, it's analyzing each image independently. And probably touch up the blacks just a little bit, bringing the black in, make it a little bit deeper or rich, and there we have it. What do you think of that, Angela?
I think that's such a beautiful image, and I have to agree that the Enhance AI tool is kind of magic. One of our photographer friends, Laura Tillinghouse, she was a guest on Coffee Break last year. She called it a wash of goodness, and I just that phrase stuck with me, and I really like it. It's such a great way to just quickly improve an image, and you'll know that that's the first place I went on the one that I was working on too. Instead of going down into the light tool and pulling up the exposure and fiddling with the shadows and the highlights, you go to one slider in Enhance AI, pull that up, and it gets you, I would say 90% of the time, it'll get you 95% of the way there. Only once in a while do you have to go into other tools to further refine it.
Awesome. All right, so what do you have for us next?
Well, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to, actually, if you go back to share my screen, I can show you how you can take those edits that we did and apply them to other similar images.
Awesome.
So quick and easy, a couple of different ways that you can do this. You notice that we have our frosty template that we applied and it says edited. So what you can do is go to the three dots next to it and save this as a new template. And so this will take the information that was in the template we applied plus our changes and creates a new template, which you can find under the templates panel. And let's click back here, scroll up to my templates. And these are the ones that I created. So here's our frosty edit. And if you want to keep that around for a while, you can always rename it to something that makes more sense for you. I'll leave it as frosty edit for right now. But what you can do is now that you have that template, you can use that on other images. And for this, I can go to my catalog, grab another similar image and pop back over to templates and use that frosty edit to quickly improve this image. We'll give it a moment to render. Come on. I think it's thinking. There we go.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see it did an amazing job. And it also gave us a really cohesive look. So now if we go back to our catalog, you'll see this image and this image both have a very similar look and feel. Now, if I want to take that same template, those same adjustments, and let's say I want to scroll down here and I want to take it over this one, and this one, what I can do is grab the one we edited first, hold down my Shift key, and then click on the last one. I've now selected all of these images. The one outlined in blue is my reference image. So I'll right click on that reference image, go to adjustments and choose sync adjustments, and give it a moment here, and it'll sync those adjustments across all of those images. Now it'll take care of some of the perspective correction changes, but you may need to go in and refine the crop. All of that is fixable. If you find that the effect was a little bit too much on one of those, you can always go back and refine it. But that gets you 90% of the way there on all of your images. So they all have a similar look and feel. Then you can go into any one of these and do any refinements that you need. So let me click over to our edit tab. Let's go up to our composition AI. Once this loads, give it a moment. There we go. And I'm going to straighten this one out. And let's try that one. And if the automatic, there we go, the automatic perspective corrections don't do what you want, you have our 3D transform sliders here, and you can always manually use the double-headed arrow outside of the frame to rotate the image. Now, perspective correction a lot of times will cut off a little bit of the top of your frame, which is unfortunate, but you know, this could have been shot a little wider, but it does get it straightened out. So it's up to you whether you want to keep it that way, if you like to keep it a little bit tilted. But you'll see that we're able to correct that image now that it's straight and go back over to our catalog, and that one down looks better than it did. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, that is great. Hey, so in the comments, do us a favor. Let us know, how do you usually start? Do you usually start your edits with templates, or do you just dive right in and click on the edit panel? In fact, so again, drop us a comment. How do you normally start? Do you start with templates, or do you just dive right in and click edit? I'm going to show one more thing, Angela.
All right.
Well, that's your screen. I was like, hey, where did I get those? All right, here we are. You know I love this image. I just absolutely love this image. So, but the images, we're not focusing on that. What we're focusing on are the tools, okay? So if you're new to Luminar AI, each of the tool sections are broken down into essentials, creative, portrait, right here, and then professionals. Now, here's what's really neat is if you want to know what each of these tools do, then jump right over here to the help menu, and you're going to look for user guide. So once the user guide jumps up, here we are. Let's say you want to understand what does structure AI do. So if I click on structure, I can come down, there it is, I click on it. And now here's what's really cool about this. Not only will it give you written instructions on what structure does and what the sliders do. Here's the mount. Everyone understands the mount. You know, it's the strength of how much you want to apply that structure. Boost is where a lot of people were asking us, well, what's this boost? It's right here. So, you know, boost is going to emphasize more of the smaller details in the image. Once people realize, oh, wow, they have all the writings, or they tell you exactly what each of these tools do, you're able to go to the user guide, check out the tools, and in some cases, we even have video tutorials for you to check out. Then you come back to your image, say, okay, well, that's what Structure AI did in a positive, for a positive value. Look at that. Look how it's bringing out that detail. Well, if I went to a negative value, well, now look what it's doing. It's blurring the effect. So that right there, in fact, you can work them in unison. Notice that? Look at that. So that's a really cool way. So if you're a beginner or even somebody who's been around Luminar for the longest time and you always wondered, what do those tools do? You see it in action, but you're not quite sure how to explain it. Jump right over to that user guide or the user manual, pop in the name for the search, and boom, all of the information will be at your fingertips. There you go, Angela.
Awesome. Well, I want to take that one step further and recommend that once you read what's in the user guide, when you go back to Luminar AI, take that slider and temporarily take it all the way to 100. If it's a slider that goes both directions, take it the other way and see what it does. See what that effect has on your photo. And if you're not really seeing much of an effect, zoom in and you might see it. So especially with details, denoise, things like that, when you zoom in, you're going to get a better interpretation of what those tools are doing. So once you see what it does, then you can back off the slider to the point that it looks tasteful, but it allows you to learn a little bit better how that's going to impact your photo. And you do that enough times, you're going to get really practiced at going, you know what, this picture needs some of this, but you know, it's not going to work so well for this picture. So keep practicing that and you'll have this down in no time.
Awesome. All right, well, let's check out and see what some people have been saying.
All right.
Yvonne was saying she loves the negative structure and making it blur, make it blur the background to get the focus on that point. That's awesome. She also goes straight into editing, and then further down, she goes to the first part, and then further down the menu. That's great. What do you do, Angela? What do you personally?
You know, if I don't really know where I want to take an image, I'll start with a template, peruse through some of those, get a direction. But a lot of times when I shoot, and especially if it's a shot that I had planned out and had envisioned in my mind, I kind of know exactly what I'm going to do. And I go straight into the edit mode and start with usually Enhance AI, and then kind of go down the list and use the tools that I know will enhance that particular image. So if I have a look in mind and I know how to achieve it, straight into edit. If I'm not quite sure where I want to go, templates is such a great place for inspiration.
Yeah, that's great. I should real quick explain Fridays from now on. What are we doing on Fridays?
All right. So Fridays are going to be specifically for new users. Here on YouTube, we're going to be giving a few quick tips. So today we talked a little bit about templates and tools and syncing edits. If you are a member of our insiders group, which is at insiders.skylum.com, it's a community for anyone who owns Luminar AI. And even if you're just a trial user, you're welcome to come join us there, check out the community. It's like everything that social media should be, but better. Everyone's friendly. It's a bunch of like-minded people. We all talk about photography, ask questions, share photos. We hope you'll join us over there. And in that community, we do Monday through Friday Zoom meetings where we talk about different topics with Luminar AI and photography in general. Over there on Fridays, we're doing a special session for new users on Friday, which is going to be a little longer and pretty much take you through everything from installing and activating the software through exporting. So it's a little bit more involved than what we cover here on YouTube. So we invite you to come over there and check it out next week. It's a lot of fun and a great group.
Oh, that's great.
So let me actually, if you want to share my screen once more,
Yep.
Go ahead and switch this back over here. So here's some resources that if you're not terribly familiar with us, that you might want to know. Obviously, the skylum.com website is a great place to start. If you need technical support, skylum.com/support, or you can directly email support@skylum.com. That user guide that Vanelli pointed out, if you go to the help menu and go to user guide, this is the direct URL right here, manual.skylum.com. Insiders.skylum.com is the community I just mentioned. I highly encourage checking it out. If you're looking for more tutorials, if you go to luminar.tips/coffee break, that's going to take you to our library of coffee breaks here on YouTube that you can go back and peruse at your leisure. And of course, you can always find Skylum on your favorite social media channels.
Awesome. Well, hey, that's great, Angela. Thank you so much. And for everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you at the next coffee break. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.